What's going on, everybody? Thank you for clicking on 8:43 on a Friday evening. Chris will be joining us coming up here around the 9 o'clock hour, and let me get that up there. So right here, there we go. Oh, wait a minute, double clicked on it. There we go. So welcome to what we call the pre-show because once Chris gets on here. Um, I don't engage with chat much, and we talk about the topics that we're going to talk about, and we don't. We will take some questions at the very end, but we get rolling on things, and that's just kind of how it works. Um, I've got a lot of things to talk about before we bring Chris up here. It's again 8:44, so we'll start in about 16 minutes with Chris, and a lot of things to discuss with Chris as well. It's our world situation report, world sit rep. So that's what the title's about. And tonight it is the United States ready? Not only as citizens of the country are we ready, but is our government ready? Is our military ready? Um, Things could escalate and change very quickly, a lot of things. And we're going to discuss some of those things tonight. But in the meantime, I'm just going to run through some headlines here. There was radioactive shipment intercepted at the China Russia border. This is from BNN News. Not always the most reliable, but they're saying that a shipment of zirconium with radiation levels 5 times over the permissible limit was intercepted at the China Russia border, triggering alarms and an immediate investigation. BNN Breaking News gathered that the hazardous cargo, which originated from China, was en route from Perm Yekaterinburg on a regular train when a routine check at the Karbovsk 2 station exposed the deadly secret it carried. Um, Apparently, zirconium is a rather stealthy um, radioactive isotope to move around. It was supposedly discovered by the Yantar 1A device, a sentinel that stands guard against the menace of ionizing radiation. It recorded a radiation level exceeding um, 5 times the acceptable limit. The zirconium within, now a radioactive rogue, was promptly quarantined. Sinister journey abruptly halted. So, again, that was at the China Russia border, and that came in 12 hours ago. Muslim members of Congress have been facing spikes in death threats. One of the few Muslim members of Congress told NBC News she feels like her life may be in danger after being inundated with threats since a terror attack sparked the war in Gaza, reflecting wider fears among Muslim Americans who feel they are being targeted to a degree unseen since the days after 9/11. Um, and that is, you know, the not only the Muslim members, the Republicans that voted against Jim Jordan in the House. We'll talk about that coming up. But the wives of some of those members, and hearing the voice recordings of people and the threats being made against Congress people and families. Uh, do better, America. Do better. Hurricane Norma is supposedly forming. Hurricane Tammy also possibly forming. So we've got some weather possibly coming, and a couple of the models are showing a path towards Texas for Hurricane Norma. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Hurricane Tammy, the path I saw looked like it was going to make a 45-degree angle and head up to the northern part of North America, if anywhere. close to shore. Um, a judge has fined Donald Trump $5,000 after a post maligning court staffer was found on a campaign website. And again, the judge warned Trump that any breach of the gag order that Trump is under, Trump could be facing jail time. I find that rather hard to believe, but we will see how it all plays out. Now, Jordan fears the worst is coming in a Gaza war. This is a news article from Reuters that came in about 23 hours ago. This is not Jim Jordan who was running for House. This is the country of Jordan. Um, and again, for those that don't know, there's a huge number of citizens in Jordan who are either Palestinian refugees or are related to Palestinian refugees. So they are. You can guess which side of this conflict they would fall down on, and there's tremendous amount of pressure going on from what I'm hearing inside of Jordan. Again, the country of Jordan, for action against Israel, based on what's happening in Gaza and primarily what happened with the hospital, which again is one of the things Chris and I are going to be talking about here in just a few minutes. Um, According to Newsweek, a retired colonel has warned that the United States is on the verge of Armageddon. Retired United States Army Colonel Douglas McGregor, former Trump administration Defense Department advisor, has warned that the U.S. military is on the brink of sparking Armageddon. And he's argued that, quote, the stage is now set for a battle of annihilation, end quote, in the ongoing Israeli Palestinian conflict. He warned that the U.S. was poised to stumble into the conflict and urged President Biden to break with, quote, the ruling political class in Washington and to support a ceasefire. The United States military, oh, I'm sorry, United States Marine Corps has called for the deployment of a battalion of U.S. Marines in Taiwan. This came in 9 hours ago. Two American hostages held since Hamas attack on Israel have been released. That's according to the Israeli Defense Forces. Um, U.S. Syria, the U.S. base in Syria was attacked, and destroyers stops missiles from Yemen. Um, we talked about this. We touched on this last night, and I'm going to go back to it. Um, the missiles coming from Yemen. It was the Carney, the USS Carney. Um, and we're on the map here. Let's jump over here, pop through to right down here. The USS Carney had just passed through the strait and had come into the Red Sea. Hadn't been there very long at all when the missiles were fired. Um, a little bit of geometry, and you can tell the trajectory of the missiles were not aimed at the destroyer. Um, they were heading long range, down range, and probably towards Israel. We can't rule out that the Gerald Ford, the largest aircraft carrier in the world, the largest warship in the world, which is parked off the coast of Israel. Um, we can't rule out that was not the target. So again, this is three of these missiles were launched and several drones. All of them were shot down by the Carney, who just happened to be at the right place at the right time and did their job, and obviously did it well. The missiles were fired from this part of Yemen out so that it would carry over the Red Sea and not fire over Saudi Arabia. This is a pretty fair distance, and the these were big cruise missiles that were fired. The three missiles that were fired were cruise missiles. So, um, good job by the Carney, in my opinion, in stopping the devastation that would have rained down from those cruise missiles. Okay, a couple of headlines, couple of more headlines here. Um, Hang on, let me get rid of this. Um, Also, the Huta. I hope I pronounced that right. We'll make sure I get it right with Chris. Houthi, I think it is the Houthi. I think it's there's an I at the end of it. The Houthi, which are a radical Islamic group. Again, I compared them last night to Hamas in Gaza, a similar group also supported by Iran. Thus, that's where the giant missiles came from. Um, they have said that they are ready at a moment's notice to head towards the conflict in Palestine, as were their terms. So, reports of busloads of potential fighters, potential Iranian fighters making their way through Syria towards the Israeli border. Um, and again, Israel is basically surrounded by enemies. Southern Iraq, northern Iraq, especially along Syria here. United States is in control, if you will, of a lot of this territory. Um, that is not something that leaves a good taste in the mouth of those in the Middle East, and it could eventually play into what we're going to be talking about. All right, two other headlines here, real quick, and we'll wrap up this pre-show. Um, Last night we talked about Sidney Powell flipping the. She was one of Trump's inner circle. She was probably the one of, if not the biggest fish, if you will, in the net of the um, district attorney. And she flipped yesterday. And her deal was that all she was going to be charged with would be 6 misdemeanors. And she would face a lengthy probation, possibly 6 years. That was the recommendation. And that she would have to write an apology letter to the citizens of Georgia, and that she would have to truthfully testify in all upcoming trials. That will play a huge impact on what's going on in Georgia. It could play a big impact in what's going on in the other cases Trump faces. Now, speaking of Trump, um, I was interested in finding out what played out today after the um, speaker for the House vote. No Speaker of the House, so they all went home for the weekend instead of staying and trying to work out something, even if it might have been impossible. Um, you've had enough time off. Let's get this thing moving, but in a smart and judicious way. Um, I had mentioned at the end of my broadcast this afternoon, covering started in the morning actually, covering the vote, that don't be surprised if there's not a movement still to try to get Trump back in through the Speaker of the House. It was pointed out, and justifiably so, that that he wouldn't legally be able to do that because of the pending felonies. And the rule as written is no one can be Speaker of the House if they're indicted with a felony that's going to possibly carry a sentence of 24 months, which is 2 years, which is basically the length of the term in the House. Um, and so he should be disqualified. Well, there are a lot of people say he should be disqualified for running for president too, but he's still doing that. So I'm not discounting any of that just because um, it shouldn't be done. It shouldn't be allowed. There are a lot of things going on that shouldn't be happening. Um, we talk a lot about how the way the world should be, the way the world could be, but we got to deal with the way the world is. And so, no Speaker of the House. Jim Jordan did give up. He did finally see that. Look, you're just going to keep losing support, and you already look like you know. Not sure why you're doing this, and so they had a secret vote around between 1 and 2 p.m. this afternoon, and the majority voted to tell Jim Jordan to kick rocks. So he is not running for Speaker of the House anymore. They could have said, let's put Patrick McHenry in as Speaker of the House pro tem and give him some limited power and have him there as on a limited time so we can at least move forward. They didn't do that. They decided they'd go home. Um, what do I mean by limited power? McHenry is currently has the power to oversee the vote for the next Speaker of the House. That's all the power he has at the moment as Speaker pro tem. So they'd have to, increase the amount of power he has, such as calling legislation to the floor for a full vote for the House, something that's necessary for funding for a lot of different things. Anyway, that's kind of where all that stands. And I just wanted to get all that in there. Um, Cheeseboro, Kenneth Cheeseboro flipped today. I almost forgot to talk about this. The second person in 2 days. Yesterday, Sidney Powell. That's going to be really bad. Sidney Powell's going to be really bad. Kenneth Cheeseboro, Kenny Cheeseburger. It's not going to. This does no favors to Trump. What this does, and what I said last night, the way this works, this is RICO, this is racketeering, this is how uh, they normally use this for drug gangs, for the mafia, um, organized crime. Okay, what in whatever form it may be, where there is some conspiracy to commit a crime, and if you are part of that conspiracy, you're automatically guilty. Well, now two have pled guilty. Um, how many more of the 15, um, including Donald Trump? Trump's not going to he's not going to cop a plea to this. He's still, going to hope for something to happen to destabilize everything. He gets back into power and pardons himself of everything, and dissolves the Constitution. That's Trump's hope, um, in my opinion. So that's where we're standing right now. Is Chris is here? Okay, Chris is here. I was kind of stalling. I didn't hear him come in. So we are at 9:01, and time for the World Sit Rep. Welcome in, Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hey, how are you, Barry?
I'm all right, man. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I remember a couple other times I've been on, and people were saying my microphone was muffled or I was muffled. I just want to make sure that I'm clear.
You're clear as far as I'm concerned. Let me hop over here to the chat for a minute. I'll say hi to Black Eyed Peas, not going away. Um, Everybody hear Chris okay? Okay. I'm not getting a response yet, but I'm hearing you. Yeah, Chris, welcome back. Okay, good. We're good. Um, anything you want to touch on about the what's going on here um, nationally, like speakers race, any of that stuff?
Now, I'm really not even like focused on anything domestic, except for the whole terrorism thing, and possible,
Yeah,
and the attacks. But like on
yeah,
the political side, the Speaker of the House, and that's really not my area of
yeah.
expertise.
Okay, cool.
So, but
Yeah. Um, let's start out before we get into specific countries and specific conflicts. Let's start out with something we talked about briefly: the impact that incidents have, such as the bombing of the hospital.
Mhm.
Um, when war comes, truth is one of the first casualties.
Exactly. Yeah.
No matter who was responsible for the hospital bombing, it's being played as a big recruiting tool across all potential Islamic social media platforms.
Yes, it is. So keep in mind that the West, these Western media outlets are really going to support Israel. Okay,
Hmm.
and the ones in the East, like Al Jazeera and some of these other outlets, are going to support um, the Palestinians, and it's clear. Right? So
Right.
um, the the thing to remember when it comes to recruitment, like it looks really bad if Israel, you know, did that strike on a hospital. Because word I got was that they were trying to um, eliminate the doctors. Okay, so keep in mind, if I take out your doctors and your medical staff, and we're bombing you and killing you, whatever, you get maimed, who's going to treat you? You can't be treated. So therefore, what's going to happen? You're most likely going to die. Right there.
You're gonna die.
Right. So you keep that in mind. Okay, when
Wow.
you know, pay attention to those things. Right. But not only that,
Hmm.
when you bomb a hospital, hospitals are off limits. Period. Okay, though that's like a sanctuary. You just won't
Right.
bomb hospitals. Hamas shouldn't hit Israeli hospitals, and Israel shouldn't hit hospitals within Gaza. Period. Right? Those are just off limits. Period. So let's say
And we're approaching it. Just for hold on just a second, so everybody understands. We're approaching this without emotion, and without any preconceived blame or anything like that. We're just looking at how what happened and the ramifications of it. Go ahead.
right. So let's just say if Israel did do this, okay,
Right.
this is going to turn. This is how you create jihadists right here. Okay, like say for instance you had someone that was neutral, that was like Arab or Muslim, or or that's Arab or Muslim. This could easily sway how they view things and might want to make them join an Islamic group, Islamic
Or
extremist group. You see,
or at least think about it.
right,
At least consider it.
right. You see, because who knows? Maybe they might have lost someone in that airstrike. And the reason I'm saying is because I've seen it in Afghanistan. How you think you create
Hmm.
terrorists? You see what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
we have killed, you know, people in a village or whatnot. Remember I told you about civilian casualties.
Right.
Well, sometimes you get those people in there and you kill them, but they're kids. Once they get older, they end up becoming jihadists and coming back and fighting us. You see,
Right.
so therefore,
Hmm.
you really have to be careful with this whole civcast thing, because what this does in a way, it will create more jihadists, and you will not, Israel will never get that support. Well, they weren't going to get it anyway, but you just don't want more jihadists, coming and hurting Israel.
Is that kind of the message the United States is trying to send by saying, learn from the mistakes we made, meaning rushing into Iraq and possibly waiting too long to go into Afghanistan? You mentioned the other night that it's like this is our third time around with a lot of the same players.
Right? It's the same people. Like, what haven't you learned? Why would you do the same thing over and over again? Yes, you're there for support, but eventually, I told you, when they say, "Well, we're not going to send combat troops," that means we're sending combat troops, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
so, learn from your past mistakes. You had 20 years of mistakes, you see? 20 years of
Mhm.
mistakes. You'd think by now you would get it right. So, learn from your past mistakes so the stuff doesn't happen again. Um, and the whole thing about it is you wanna keep people on your side, but I really don't think that's gonna happen at this point. United States is, like, really pissed the whole Islamic and Arabic community off with
Yeah, anybody that Israel hasn't pissed off, we've pissed off.
right,
So,
right. So
and it's pretty much us. You don't hear. There's talk that the British aircraft carrier um, Prince of Wales may be coming into the Eastern Med, but you don't hear a lot of talk about Britain and France
no,
and European any European countries getting involved in this because their focus is Eastern Europe to make sure Russia doesn't overrun them,
right.
and and it's kind of just us and Israel standing back to back, is it not?
That's pretty much what it looks like at this point. It's just United States and Israel.
Yeah,
So therefore, get ready to get attacked because um, we're Israel's bigger brother, and they're like, okay, well, you're gonna get jumped too. You want to support them. Well, we're gonna get you as well. So,
and with that in mind, the State Department issued a worldwide travel advisory, a caution against travel anywhere in the world. They also had all of their embassies conduct emergency drills, as well as decide on each individual embassy decides on its own how much it needs to ramp up its security based on its
right,
location.
but
So
right,
the government's already, subtly telling us that it's coming.
right. But I mean, we already discussed that. I think that was 2 shows
Yeah,
ago. I said,
yeah, I
once,
know,
once,
I know.
yeah, once Khalid Mashal issued that global jihad, I was like, well, no American citizen is safe anywhere.
Right,
He
right,
said globally. I mean, there's
right,
Muslims all over the world, and if
right.
they're going to listen to him for the jihad, then you got American citizens all over the world. So you have to keep them protected. So now State Department's got to issue a global security warning for all Americans everywhere internationally. So
Yeah,
and I told you that regional security officer is ultimately responsible for U.S. citizens abroad. Whatever embassy that RSO is working out, that's a responsibility to keep U.S. citizens safe.
yeah.
So they got a big job to do, real big job right now.
Um, I hear from people that our military's soft. I wanna ask it this way: is our military soft, or is our military so tech dependent that like muscle doesn't matter as much
All
anymore?
right, so I was an instructor for DoD, right? So
That's why I'm asking,
so
because you've seen a bunch of soldiers.
right, so and I used to train Air Force personnel, and
Mhm.
I told you, well, I probably didn't tell you, but an Air Force personnel complained on me and said I was too aggressive and almost made them cry. And I'm teaching them. Look, it's not. Listen, it's funny, but it's not funny. It's actually really.
I know it's not, you're right,
It, it,
it's
it,
I'm sorry, but
it's really sad because I'm teaching you. I see. I used to teach the M4 lane or the weapons lane. Okay, so I was
mhm,
teaching them how to employ the M4 rifle in a kinetic environment. You see, so that
in
was
case they get shot down,
in
basically.
case they get involved in an engagement or what we call troops in contact. Right now, you have to be able to employ that rifle and take out your enemy. before your enemy takes out you. And so that my job is to make sure that you come back home safely, right? So anyway,
Right.
this one Air Force personnel said, "Oh, I was too aggressive, and I made them almost cry." Now, does that tell you anything right there about our military?
Sadly, it does.
Right. That that's where we're at.
Okay. Now, this just came to me, and I need to insert this here. If 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 on a big scale crap hits the fan, we're gonna have a draft. What kind of what kind of fighting force are we going to
We're not
have
we're not
if we start?
we're not because every listen, the majority of people are fat, out of shape, have no heart. Okay, they're afraid of their own shadows. Do you really think they're actually going to go up against a bunch of jihadists who are in shape, mentally well trained, physically well trained, have more skills than them? You see, have better tactics than them, and you got these guys who are just basic soldiers or airmen or Navy personnel or Marines. I listen. The Marines and the Army, I'm pretty sure are going to be our best bet when it comes to fighting. Air Force, not so
Okay.
much. I mean, they're not they're not the ground crew at all, and they're really not, should we say, the best fighting force. In the air, yes, but ground wise, no. Um,
Okay.
so um, yeah, I put my money on the Marines and the Army to handle this. But even with that,
Yeah.
um, I just think uh, ultimately we our society has become so weak and we're soft. Okay, that it
Do you think it's from the participation trophies,
yeah
the
yeah
helicopter
yeah
parents, the
exactly. You see, so once you weaken a society, the military is just a microcosm of our society. That's all it is. And once you weaken the society, you weaken the military. You see?
yeah. All right. That brings me down then to, if we are assuming that there are sleeper cells within our country.
There's no assumption. There are.
Okay. All right. If if something breaks out in an area, what should citizens do? Because you say we're not going to be prepared to fight. Um, I saw the Ukrainians making Molotov cocktails, using drones, taping stuff to them. Anything that they could imagine to try to keep the Russians out of their area. What should Is there something we should be doing or thinking about as citizens, that just in case it breaks out in our area, what do we do?
All right. So once again, these attacks, if they occur, they're going to be more or less what we call direct action elements doing this. You
Okay.
remember the stuff that happened with Charlie Hebdo?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah. The French.
yeah yeah that's what you're going
Yeah.
to be looking at. That like suicide bombings, vehicle-borne IEDs, IEDs, active shooters, things of that nature.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
and
All right.
l-
It's not. It, I saw video of Hamas coming in mass,
mhm,
taking over sections of a neighborhood.
mhm.
Is that a absolute? There's no way they would try to do that over
No,
here.
they're going to be just like these are straight martyrdom operations,
Single shooters.
right?
Okay.
It's going to be lone wolf, right? Or you're going to see
Yeah.
like one, two, three, four, maybe a team of four, a team of two, three, four to go conduct something. All right. So they might hit a school,
Yeah.
right? They might hit a
Okay.
mall. They might hit grocery stores. Anywhere there's a large
A
group of
temple,
people,
a
like you said,
Jewish temple.
right? So um, that's what you're going to be looking at. Okay, places
Okay.
where there's large
All
gatherings
right.
of people, and
So basically, there's really nothing we can do in preparation other than what we already do because of threats we already have.
right, exactly. So
It's just an increased threat. It's just another threat to add on top of all the other
yeah,
threats.
except this threat is like this is a real deal type threat. Okay, and people really need to be on their p's and q's with this one, right? Because they're gonna bring it. I'm gonna let you know that right now. They're gonna bring it.
What about what they're going to bring it here?
Oh yeah, they're gonna bring it. When I say bring it, they're gonna let Americans have it. They're gonna be like, all right, we're gonna do this attack here, this attack here, this. There's gonna be multiple tags. There's several attacks.
Okay, similar to a 9/11
No,
or
no,
possibly
no,
bigger.
no. 9/11 was really big, so it's easier to do smaller attacks and just all over the creation, which would cause more havoc.
Uh-huh.
You know, um,
Yeah.
that can really cause your state's economy or even the economy here in the United States to really take a dive, right?
Right.
So you
Mhm.
start hitting it. Well, I don't think it'll really hit the infrastructure, but the hit, like I said, um, like schools. You could hit a school. Like I mean, just your active shooting. Think about the active shooters that go on. They hit the schools,
Yeah.
right? Well, think about you
Mhm.
got four,
Soft
right?
targets.
You got four guys coming into a school, and they start shooting up everybody, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then think about it. You got these. It could be the patrol officers that have very little experience dealing with this type of stuff to go in and try and engage, you know, for hardened jihadists that are there for martyrdom. So they don't care if they die. You see?
And just so everybody knows, you've got some counterterrorism tactics that you think might help save some lives here in the country, but nobody's listening.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's always countermeasures. There's countermeasures to everything. But half the time they don't listen. I've been pushing this stuff for a while. Oh, we don't need that.
Yeah.
And, that doesn't. Okay, all right. Well, tell me why the Israelis were so successful at it. Because that's where I learned it. Why is in Israel, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Um, got about 10 minutes here. Let's start with Haiti.
Uh,
Um, Reuters report that you sent to me. I didn't pull it up. I got it on my phone here. Um, hang on. I forget what the title of it was. Um, but it's basically that. Okay, that's not it. It's basically that the Red Cross is indeed working with the gangs in Haiti and successfully getting resources to the people.
exactly. And that's we talked about that before.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know if they read. I don't know if they've been listening to this or what. But that's that's actually what's needed for the gang members to allow um, the HA to come through and the gangs can actually be their security to make sure that the HA is distributed properly to the community. See, and that makes the gangs that will actually legitimize the gangs. You see,
Hmm.
to where before but see, this is what the government should be doing, but they're not. Okay, these are things the government should be doing, but they're
Okay.
not.
And isn't this also what Hamas was
Yeah, that's it's the same thing.
selling to the Palestinian people?
It's the same thing. So I guess it was the Fatah party, that was there
In power in Gaza.
right. So I think I don't know what they were doing, right? But I guess Hamas had that same model, which I was just telling you about, and they wanted to push it to the people in Gaza, and the people in Gaza obviously bought it, and they voted in for Hamas and put the Fatah party out. Now all Hamas really had to do was come in and provide those services, for the community do all the stuff that Fatah wasn't doing, they would have been superstars. That's easy.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move down to Niger. Um, that it seemed like it's gotten relatively quiet.
Yeah, I don't think anything's really happening in Niger right now. I
Okay.
think did they? I think they asked the UN to leave or something like that. That's maybe the last thing I read, but
Right.
that was it. But other than that, I don't think too much is happening.
There's too much going on in the rest of the world to focus on that
Right? Exactly.
as far as the big players to
Uh
go.
huh.
Okay. Is Nigeria going to take advantage of that and keep this guy in power? Uh, or are they going to step up and remove the president of Nigeria?
Uh, okay. So I'm not expecting the Supreme Court of Nigeria to tell Tinubu to step down. I'm really not, even though it's
Okay.
come out that his certificate um, was forged. Okay, so
Right.
that was submitted. It's submitted into evidences, the documentation, but under Nigerian law, and this has already been ruled upon by the Supreme Court. Any forgeries is an automatic disqualification. All right, you're automatically disqualified.
Hmm.
Plus, we also talk about the 25% FCT rule, which has already
Right.
been ruled
Right.
upon. So you're looking at those two things, and if the Supreme Court fails to rule upon them and says, Tinubu is going to stay in office or whatever, then guess what? No more than I'd say 60 to 90 days out, there will be a coup in Nigeria.
That'd be a coup.
I'm
Yeah.
positive. I'm 110%
Yeah.
sure that that's what's going to
Okay.
happen.
All right. Um, Ukraine and and Israel. $108 billion in aid for the two countries.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Our focus right now is on Israel and Palestine, or Israel and Gaza. Ukraine is going to start dropping back, and we're stop cutting back on money for Ukraine and all those funds. We're going to start going to Israel. Watch.
Okay, so the European portion of NATO is going to have to step up, or Ukraine falls.
Right. So, you know, it's like, all right, we got other stuff that's bigger than you, Ukraine, and we really need to support Israel, and that's what we're going to do.
Um, I'm popping the map up here real quick. Um, again, Ukraine is right here, with Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia on up. Um, we are trying to keep everything localized in basically the Gaza, West Bank, center of Jordan, or center of Israel, and there's reports that rocket fire is going on from Lebanon over the northern border of Israel. Israel's firing back, of course. Um, I talked earlier about the is it pronounced Houthi?
Yeah, the Houthi rebels.
In okay, the Houthi rebels in Yemen firing three cruise missiles, supposedly Iranian cruise missiles, over the Red Sea, and the USS Carney shooting them down. Um, it seems like it's already expanded outside of this area. Can we keep it contained?
But keeping contained, that's we like to keep it contained. I like to
Yeah.
think we'd like to keep it contained, but there's really no real guarantee that that's going to happen. So
I don't see any way we can do it. I don't see any way this doesn't, continue to escalate, and I'm still sticking with the big domino to fall is when and if, Israel goes into
yeah,
Gaza.
well, that got Hamas asked for a ceasefire, right?
Right,
Israel's like, there's no ceasefire, whatever.
right.
But this whole hostage thing, you know that Hamas released two U.S. citizens today.
Yeah, yeah, I hit that headline, yeah.
So you do know that these people are talking. Okay, so that's
I think it went through Qatar.
right, but they're talking. So what this really
Mhm.
is a stall right now. You know that, right? It's a stall.
Okay, Hamas is stalling
Yeah,
to keep Israel from entering
right now because that
right
just
now.
the same way that they asked for that ceasefire, or when Hamas asked for that ceasefire, when they asked for that ceasefire, that's a chance for them to do what they have to do, either restock, or actually get other things lined up or get things in place. You see, so
Mhm.
instead of having this,
Including moving hostages.
right. So even with that, um, since they can't get the ceasefire, this whole mediation with the hostages, it's a stall. You see, because Israel has not invaded. Israel has not come in for the invasion. So because of them releasing these hostages, and like I told you before, these hostages are bargaining chips. That's what they really
Right,
are. So
right.
the thing about this is I see them releasing, the civilians, okay, the people, the U.S. citizens, and maybe some of the other citizens from four other countries that don't really have any connection, you know, to Israel.
But they're gonna hold on to the military
Yeah,
people.
because they like Israel has their soldiers, right?
Right.
So
Yeah,
um, Hamas now has their soldiers. Now we can swap them out. You see, so that's
yeah.
that's kind of like the whole thing. Well, we need bargaining chips. I'm just not going to go in there and uh, uh, going to a country and not come out with something. Those people are important. Who they snatched are important. They hold a certain value, just like the people that the Israeli the Hamas members that Israel has, right? They hold a certain value. So the hostages that Hamas has holds a certain value too, and we're gonna swap them out.
Yeah.
You see, but
Okay.
what it is, it's really a
Yeah.
stall, and what they want to do is get things in place. So if when Israel does invade, like things already be set where they couldn't do it
Booby
before.
traps,
It could be
things like
right, it
that.
could be anything, but they're getting things set up. That's all it is.
Okay. For the last couple of minutes here, just take a couple of minutes and talk to us about urban warfare because that's what this is basically going to be.
Right, it's guerrilla warfare. All right, it's unconventional warfare. So now you got a bunch of conventional forces coming in. It's just like us going back into Iraq, or into Afghanistan. All right, you're gonna see the same stuff that I told you
You're
about.
going building to
Yeah, they're
building.
going
You're going
so
block
so
to
and
block.
honestly, that's the most dangerous type of fighting there is because
Right.
you're going into like house to house, building to building. There's so many hiding spaces. You're going to see a lot more sniper attacks coming from Hamas, right? You're going to see a lot more
Mhm.
vehicle-borne IEDs come in. You're going to see more IEDs, suicide bombers. It's going to be a big mess. So
Booby traps.
right. This is the type of fighting I don't like. Like urban, like this urban stuff. No, that's all bad.
Yeah. Okay. Is it worse at night? Because my perception is, and that's why I keep predicting that they're going to go in at dawn on one of these mornings over there, because it would be easier to go in with daylight coming than it would be with daylight leaving
Well,
and trying to conduct urban warfare at night.
sometimes it's better to work at night than it is the day
Okay.
because
Talk about that real quick if you would.
for the simple fact that people can see exactly where you are, where you're going at nighttime. A lot of people are asleep, um, and it kind you can sneak up on people because
And we've got better night optics
right,
than anybody in the world,
right.
basically, probably except maybe China now.
Right. So like for the most part, you'll never ever see like an operation going um during the daytime for the most part. If you have an operation, a serious operation, that stuff happens at night. That's when it occurs.
It's because it's being conducted by troops, not machinery.
Right, right. So it's better to work at night than it is during the daytime.
Okay, awesome. Appreciate that knowledge as always.
Yep.
Um, if you come back on Monday night, if nothing's
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
way,
If nothing's in the way, I'll definitely be here Monday night.
cool. Look forward to it, man. Have a
Okay.
safe weekend, and we'll be in touch.
Okay. I'll talk to you
All
soon.
right, all right.
Bye now.
Thanks.
Take care.
Always a pleasure. Always look forward to having Chris on. We're doing it. Um, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, if allowable. Um, just because things are escalating and moving so fast, and we don't want to go on and on and on and on and on and have come on once a week and talk for 4.5 hours. Um, we like to keep it so that people will go back and watch and listen and hopefully pick up some stuff because um, we try to give you our honest opinions. We try to take the emotion out of it and just do analysis of what's going on, what's been going on, and what might possibly come. Um, yeah, thanks, Chris. Not going away says thanks. Black Eyed Peas says thanks. Um, we know that I learned something. I learn something every time I talk to Chris, let alone every time I have him on. But it kind of makes more sense now. I'm thinking of being in a tank or being in a some kind of armored vehicle and trying to operate at night, um, and the difficulties that would be. But if you're on foot, if you're conducting a mission, the night would give our troops advantage because of our um, advanced night optics. So I revised my thought pattern here with that added information, and maybe we will see them go in instead of at dawn at dusk, which um, a prime time to do that would be after the Sabbath ends, which has already begun over there, I believe. But so, thank you all. Pat Tolliver, thank you for being here, not going away. Black Eyed Peas, everybody in the chat, everybody that has been um, spending time here, thank you for clicking on. There are so many places on the internet that you could be going right now, and you're spending time here, and it is greatly appreciated. We will be back. Chris and I will be on here at 9 o'clock Monday night. I'll be on for a pre-show again, probably about a half an hour, because over the weekend we'll pick up some stories. Anything big happens, we'll hop on here live. So if you would consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell, and hit the like, it helps the show, and we do appreciate it. If you want to contact me, americandufus at gmail.com. If you'd like to help the show financially, best way to do so is through Cash App, and that's $ American Doofus, $AMERICANDUFUS. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste, shalom, shalom, assalamu alaikum. Blessings from the one true living God, the Most High, if you so desire them. Positive vibrations. Love you like chocolate chip cookies. Like chocolate chip cookies, not with chocolate chip cookies. Somebody said last time I loved somebody with chocolate chip cookies, it got really messy. That's not what I'm talking about. Love you like chocolate chip cookies, and I'm gonna go have one here soon. Um, peace. Give peace a chance. I think we're way past that point, but still, we got to keep trying, because it is a dark world. Do try to be a light. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Hang on here. Let me find it. There we go.